What is going on, everyone? We're
Welcome
back.
back.
Oh,
And look, Stacy's here already. Hey there, brother Dirk and brother Alex. I'll be listening. Do your thing. Have a blast. It's
she
always
told
good to
me
see you.
earlier that she might not be here because she's helping the next door neighbor.
Aha.
So thanks for listening. She probably not watching, probably just listening in the background or something, which is cool and
Sweet.
that works. We
Well,
appreciate it.
always appreciate her.
Yeah, she's fun.
So I think we're gonna have a kind of a kickback episode this time around, guys. I know we said that we were gonna have Levon from Knife Nuts podcast. We will have him on next episode in 2 weeks. We just postponed it for a couple little reasons, so come back in 2 weeks, and we'll have Levon from Knife Nuts podcast on with us, which has been confirmed. So for sure this time.
Yeah, so we'll see him in a couple of weeks. But thanks for joining anyway. Will Carey, what's up?
Will Carey, welcome back. And then today, guys, we're going to have a kind of a kickback conversation, kind of talk about the state of the collection, what me and Dirk have been up to, where our collection's at, how have our tastes changed, and kind of the things that we have going on or whatnot. And things change, right, Dirk?
They do. And I did at the beginning of the year kind of a video on, I think the title was something, could you make a single knife purchase in 2022? And I talked about what my plan for 2022 was in both my knives and watches.
Okay.
I actually went and watched that video this morning so I could familiarize myself with what I said. And then I counted up what I actually have bought.
Okay.
And I lied in the video. Apparently. Pretty much. And so Will says, easy answer is nope. You're not wrong, Will. I mean, I've done. All right. So in the video, and I'll link it in the end or something, but in the video, I said I was going to buy 2 watches in 2022. And I was going to try to not buy 11 knives that I bought in 2021. I didn't say I was going to buy only 1 knife, but I kind of alluded to that I was going to buy 1 or 2 knives.
Oh, hell no.
So, yeah. So I've bought. So it's July, basically. I mean, we're almost in July, right? So 6 months is gone.
Yep.
And I have not bought 11 knives. How about there? I mean, let's start with the good stuff. But I have bought more than 1. And I have, as I'm looking down at my list, I bought 3 watches. But one of them, I don't know if it counts. It was like $60. So I don't know. Does that really count? I didn't qualify it in my video.
Yes, it takes space in your collection. It counts. It doesn't matter how much. I have like knives back here that are like $60 and stuff, right? Like I have a Timex Space Invaders.
I bought the Timex Pac-Man.
I know, like those count.
Okay, it counts. So
counts.
But does it count? What about the one I just put a deposit on? I haven't picked it up yet. Does that count?
It counts.
All right, so it's been 3 watches. It's a Borealis Adragas, which I have a deposit on. That's a Random Rob special edition. A Timex Pac-Man. And then a Breitling Super Ocean.
Are you forgetting something?
I was gifted one?
Elaborate.
A watch? What's that?
Something you're not telling me, Dirk?
He might be talking about a knife because I was gifted a knife.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. So the knives was was 8 knives plus a gift. So I'm still under 11. But how does it work if you go to, like, if you sell some and one of those 8 was a trade? So I'm not sure how that works.
I could give you the trade as a wash.
Okay.
That's how I count it, regardless of money. It's a piece in the collection, right? Like it takes
Agreed.
space.
So if you're taking one out and you're putting one in, that's just equal. That's just a wash.
Yeah. Even
Which
if
is
you
what I did on a knife.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll go into my knives and stuff a little bit later. I talked about the watches. So did you have any plans for 2022?
Yes. And it totally didn't go anything to plan, actually. I had a bunch of like custom knives that I was and still am on the list for that I was gonna just finish up, like a list of stuff. With COVID and everything, I'm just not gonna get into it. So those are on the back burner for a little bit. But I did get my rotten regrind this year. That was a big deal for me. That Benchmade.
Yes, that one was very cool.
That was super cool, and I waited a long time for that. I'm not gonna say how long. Don't ask me.
Right.
I mean, you can ask me, but nobody live, you know.
There's certain things that we like. Alex and I tried to be pretty open and transparent with. I do in my videos for sure. I can speak for myself, but there's certain things like I don't necessarily talk about price of a lot of the things that I bought because I just don't feel it's necessary or germane to the conversation because it's a custom knife and it's, you know,
plus Google is your friend. You can find out.
Google's your friend. And so like some of that kind of stuff I don't talk about. And, you know, so yeah, we try to be pretty open, but as open as I am, there's certain things I just don't talk about. So,
well, I'm going to be wide open about the reason why I'm not going to say how long, in case you're wondering, is because, you know, when it comes to makers, specific ones that are holding on to stuff, and there's a process to it, and I just really can't give people a gauge of what's going on because I'm not there at the shop. So I don't even base like how long it took me, because it doesn't really matter. My knife could have been there forever, and it could have just been for the reasons that I want something more customized. So it requires more time, and so maybe like it'll take me longer to get through the queue because he's going to set time aside to do it. But let me tell you guys, John made the wait worth everything, worth every penny I spent. I mean, I got more from Rotten Design redoing my Benchmade than I ever expected for what he charged, which actually I'll tell you right now is actually ridiculously reasonable for what I got. So so I'm not going to say how long the wait was. If you guys are curious, just send him an email, ask him.
Yeah, because on the custom stuff, I think it always varies. Like I've talked to makers and they're like, yeah, it's going to take 6 to 9 months. And then you talk to them a few months later and they're like, yeah, I can get it in 3 months because their schedule changes. Their backlog changes from time to time. Somebody might back out of a deal and now they've got an open slot. And so it's always just best to, again, like we've talked about before, start a relationship with a maker. If you want to do some custom stuff, just start messaging them on, you know, Facebook, Instagram, email, whatever they have on their website. Search them out, chat with them a little bit, and then just check in with them every so often.
Yep.
And just make yourself a known person to them. And so that when you send them a message, don't bug them every other day. Don't be annoying.
Nope.
But check in every so often. Hey, how's it going? I had another idea when it's time, you know, things like that. And then it'll work.
Yeah, just don't be insistent and don't be a dick.
Nah, be respectful.
Because let me tell you something. There's guys out there that like makers that told me, nope, I'm too busy, man. I'm not going to be able to do anything for you for years. And next year on the list getting something made. And it's not because I'm out there asking or begging every single day, but maybe 3 months later, you know, like I'll be like, hey, anybody back out of anything? Or and they're like, you know what, I got an extra spot, you know, and then they let you in. If you stay in contact, you be cool. You don't have to kiss their butt. You don't have to, like, you know, treat them like anybody different than just a regular person. But it's you know, be courteous. Be old school mannerism works really, really well with
Really
custom
well.
knife makers. Is my best advice to you guys. Be over courteous, be over nice, be over generous, and be over patient. That's it.
Yeah, and
Sucks,
some of the viewers,
but it is
some of the
what it
viewers
is.
in here are you know, watch guys. NH Rick, Will Carey, Happy Haptics. You know, it's like building a relationship with an authorized dealer, whether it's a Rolex dealer, Omega dealer, Tudor dealer, just so whatever. It's the same thing. You're just building a relationship with that maker. Doesn't matter who it is, and that's how you get on the books and stuff. And yes, some of them you may make a deposit and wait a year to get it, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. That there are makers that do take a couple of years to get your stuff. That's just part of the deal.
Yep. Absolutely,
Like,
it is. But you
like,
know what?
like Stacy says,
there's
yes,
so many
reasonable, courteous person that is friendly and understandable goes a long way. And that's just not in the knife world, not in the white watch world, but in every industry, everything. Just be polite and reasonable.
Like, yeah, like in other words, let's say a knife maker tells you, like, you say, hey man, can you make me this model? I was really interested in getting to see how I can acquire one of these. And he tells you, I'm sorry, but no. Like, just flat out no, right? Don't insist. Come back in a month or two and send him a message. Hey, you know, I know you told me no, but I was just checking in. Is there anything has changed since last we talked? I'm really interested. After 3 or 4 times, if you really want that knife, 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden, like, you find yourself on the list for somebody that's a really big deal. Like, I'll give you an example, like Naughty from Black Snow Customs. I spent 4.5 years asking to be on the list. I finally just got on a little while ago, but I have no idea. It could be another 3-4 years before he emails me and says, hey, you know, what do you want? So that's another tricky part, because if you start playing big like that, when they hit you up, you better be ready, you know?
Yes, and our watch friends will know that. Like, if you've built a relationship with an authorized dealer and they call you and say, hey, we got your watch brand X, I mean, you can say no, it doesn't work for me. I mean, you can do that, and that doesn't totally kill your chances, but it doesn't help your chances.
Here, Stacy's got something here, you know, Knife Rights. I like that guy a lot, actually. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Support him if you like. That's Doug Ritter, you know, from the Ritter Reptilian. So go buy a Ritter. Actually, you know, I have my best friend works in Atlanta, and he works as a grip at first, and then now he's doing set building and stuff in the movie industry. And I gave him a Kershaw junkyard dog from a long time ago, and this thing looked really cool. It was like 2 different steels that were mated together, like Kershaw does once in a while, or ZT, right? And it ended up being worth like a lot of money. It's a collector's piece now, and he still has it. And he's like, hey man, you know, like, it's still in like really nice shape. I've used it over the years, but I don't want to beat it up, you know. So we just had this random conversation, and he's not a knife collector. He just has like the one I gave him, right? Because I'm a knife guy. And I think I bought this thing in like 2014 or 15 for him, like, long time ago. So I'm like, I got to get him a good knife that he can, like, you know, just beat the crap out of, that's lightweight, easy to use, strong lockup. So, like, because, you know, he's going to pry and do stupid stuff with it. Right. So I need like an ultra safe knife. So what did I buy him? I bought him a Ritter, the Ritter Hogue. And it came with that. Yeah, with that G Mascus looking stuff,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
got that Axis looking lock. That's a great knife, and I
yes.
play with it just a little bit. I took it out of the box because it's my best friend. He knows I'm gonna open the box, and then like I QC'd it. I'm like, hey, if it needs oiling or whatever, I need to take it apart. You know, I'll make sure when he gets it, it's good because he doesn't know how to take one apart.
Right.
So I did strop it a little bit just to get a really like fine edge on it, but then I send it back to him. Yeah, the RSK. That's right. Thanks, Haptic. And then, but yeah, it's a pretty cool knife. Massively impressed with it, and according to him, it performs great. So support knife rights and get yourself a cool knife, and they're very reasonably priced. I think they're only like $150 or something like that, right?
Awesome.
Finish the EDC challenge coin pouch I started with Zach stuff. Oh, I love Zach. Zach's cool dude, man.
I think I saw a video of that coin on Facebook or something. The little pouch, it was like blue and white or something, I think. I was
Yeah.
scrolling through Facebook right before this and I saw that. It must be the same thing.
Alice is pretty cool, actually. I sold her other half, my Hinderer XM24. She sent me some paracord stuff I still need to do a video on. Alice, don't be offended. I haven't been working on too much YouTube stuff. I will get to that video though and do a little giveaway with some kind of cool paracord bracelets that she did.
So NH Rick says, Dirk and Alex, I'm a watch guy for years. Yes, that's how I met him over in a watch Discord. But I've been dipping into the knife obsession in the past year. Oh boy, now that's scary.
Hey, that's exactly like me and watches.
Right?
The opposite.
Other than buy what you like, is there any solid advice you'd give for a collection?
Yes, don't listen to YouTubers. Buy what you like.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, like the hype. Don't get sucked into the hype. And I talk about that in a video that I do here and a couple of that I've already filmed that drops in a few days. I think it was a couple different videos that are coming out this week. I don't get into a lot of the knife hype. And I get a knife that everybody's talking about it being hyped up and it's all this awesome, like that SG Knives gripper. Every other YouTube person said it was almost the greatest thing in the world. I could barely get it in and out of my pocket because the frag pattern was so aggressive. It had trouble going into my pocket. And I reached out to some of these other YouTube guys and said, hey, did you have a problem with that? No, mine. They all had the production version. I had a custom version. So, okay. But don't get into the hype, number one. Watch a lot of different YouTube people so you get varying opinions. And do you want any trick? Do you want stuff that you can use? Are you looking for stuff that's going to be on the shelf? Are you looking for fancy stuff, user basic stuff? I mean, try to figure out what you like, I think,
like go experience different things, right? Like if you're a watch guy, then I'll put it in my experience dipping into watches, how I got myself into it. That's pretty good, So, originally the thing that just started like everything, I had a Tissot C Star, which is actually a nice watch before I started collecting, right? And then like I had a couple of like inexpensive Casios and a couple of G-Shocks that I just used to beat up, right? And as you go through time and you start doing stuff, like I didn't go and like see what the most expensive thing was. I researched Casio, right? Like when I started getting into Casios, and I looked around and see what people are doing with them. And then I started seeing they're doing color LCDs and they're doing different cases and this and that. And I like tinkering, so I got into that. And then once I did a couple of those, I'm like, okay, that's as far as I want to go with Casio. Let's start playing with Seiko. So then I got a whole build kit to do an SKX kind of build with some other custom parts, right? Like I like enjoying step by step. I don't like rushing to the top. And, a lot of guys, especially since I hang out with Dirk and I have friends like Jiro and other guys that have like expensive watches, like they're already got some Omegas and Rolex, and they're talking to me about like these beautiful watches that I'm still not even close to there, you know,
Yeah, don't go
like,
there.
and I may one day, but I'm not in a hurry to get there. So with knives, I suggest you do the same thing. Go step by step,
Mhm.
because losing $40 on a Kershaw is no big deal. You might just toss it in the back, be like, hey, you know, that's a perfect little pry bar for me later on when I want to use it on whatever, or like garage duty or whatever you want to do. It's good to have those knives that you don't care about to beat the hell out of, because those tools are useful around the house. I have plenty of those. And then at the same time, you know, like, learn a little bit about everything, just kind of step up, because if you start buying, I think with knives especially, my experience with hearing from other people is that a lot of them, their expectations rise as they're spending more money. So they're expecting more
Mhm.
quality, higher end steels, higher end materials, higher end builds. And all of a sudden, they bought this knife for $1,000, and they step up and they spend $1,500, and they're like, "Man, that's a big step for me, right?" Like now, I'm like starting to creep at the bottom with the bigger boys. A $1,500 knife's pretty expensive to anybody in realistic terms,
Right.
and then like once you get there, you get that knife, and it's got burrs on the edges of the frame, and there's gaps between the bolster and the scale, and there's poor centering, or the when you flip it, the action is gritty, and you're like, oh, what the hell. But expect that, because that will happen for sure. That will happen. So that's why I like taking baby steps into anything that I do, because I'm sure watches are going to be the same thing at some point, where I'm going to buy something that I
Mhm.
expected great grandeur, and I'm gonna be like, I would have been all right buying like a Zelos instead, right? So that's my advice.
I agree. And we'll get a couple of comments here. That's a great analogy. Is there a brand or maker that is the Seiko? Broad range of styles that are well built but won't break the
Yes.
bank to explore. There's a couple different ones. Right off the top of my head, I would say Spyderco is really kind of a broad range one.
Hmm.
And you could go even with like Tucson, which is a little bit cheaper than the Spyderco, but has a
Benchmade.
vast variety. And Benchmade. Those are
Because
kind
you
of
can go,
three very staples.
because with those knife companies that we mentioned, you can not only buy the current stuff, but you can go in the back catalog and see what gems they released in the past. And since they're
Mhm.
production knives, you're going to pay more maybe for something you want that's cool, but you'll be able to get some kind of cool, weird stuff and just build up this really like kind of intriguing collection. Like my Spyderco collection, they're all, I want to say like 85% of them are like fully modified. That's just kind of like what I did with Spydercos. I have a couple of them that are like untouched, right? Like that are not customized and stuff like
Right.
that. But yeah, Benchmade, like Dirk said, Spyderco was one of the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, kind of the first, and I
Um,
think that's a lot of people's first is Spyderco and Benchmade. That's kind of their
yeah,
first, like going into the
those were
shop
my
and then
first two
walking in.
knives.
Those are my first two, also.
So my
Professor,
first one was that 761 that you just reviewed, right? That's been
yep,
modified, and the other one was a PM2, a
yep.
regular PM2. Those were my first two knives.
So Professor EDC says I would say to keep an open mind in order to amplify taste and don't look down on any tier because something can always surprise you. Take it slow and enjoy each step, which is true because like in the watch world, you may really like this. I mean, you may have a Rolex and an Omega and whatever, but there are times where you just still go back and you just throw that Seiko on because you enjoy it. And it's the same thing with knives. You may have some expensive knives, but you may just want to grab that $50 knife to throw in your pocket and go do some work with.
Yep.
So that's a good point. Don't look down on stuff. I mean, I think that's important. And then I want to scroll back up here to Will. Will asks SNG or SMF, talking about Strider. Which do we
I
like
think
better?
me and Dirk are going to have opposite answers.
I believe the SNG is the bigger one, right?
No.
Oh, it's the SMF is the big one?
Yeah.
I'm not a Strider person. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't really have a preference. Um, because I'm just not a Strider guy. I don't like the aesthetics of that the big wedge at the back of the handle. It just doesn't appeal to me. I did just do a video on a law enforcement only one, which was, I think, the SMF. I could be wrong. It was the bigger one.
Yeah,
It had
it
a
was.
thin blue line on it and stuff. And you legit could only buy it by showing your law enforcement credentials to the company and stuff. Like, so it was kind of cool. So a Leo friend let me borrow that. But I'm not a Strider guy. Alex, what do you think?
SNG, if you're asking me one of the two, that's the most popular sold one. But it depends on your hand size, right? Like Dirk's got large hands, so I think he prefers the SMF. But me, I'm more of like a medium to large size hand. So I'm going to be more on the SNG because it just naturally like falls right into my hand. Like it indexes well for me. But I have an SNG, and that's the only Strider I've ever bought. I've never bought another one since. I still have it. I have a bunch of custom stuff on it too. As a matter of fact, this box right here is the original aluminum scale I'm going to send out to get like customized. You know,
That's
I'm going to
cool.
do something different to it. But yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people have a huge following with them. I can't say bad. I can't say, but it's just it's an interesting design. It feels different in the hand than other stuff.
Yeah, it's totally, for me, completely aesthetics and the feel in my hand. I just don't really care for them. And I've handled several, and it's just not for me. I'm like, okay, somebody just offered me one of those law enforcement only ones the other day, just yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, I don't necessarily, it's not worth this. For me personally, it's not worth $750. For a couple of cop friends that I know that actually carry them on duty, it's worth it for them. And that's great. For me, it's not. I love the thin blue line and all that stuff. I've talked about it in many videos, but it's just not for me. So Tennessee Mike asks a good question.
That is a great question.
Do you think you have diminishing returns with knives as you move up in price? So does that mean like a $1,000 knife is twice as good as a $500 knife?
I think what he means is if let's say like you buy a knife for $1,000, and then you sell it, and then you buy a knife for $1,500 and you sell it, does the return start to diminish as you go up in the price bracket? And if that's what he's asking, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it remains the same as you go up the price bracket, but it depends on what you buy. Because like, for example, if I had the opportunity to buy a Holt Spectre for $850 and I've kept it now for like, 2.5, 3 years or whatever it is, and now it's worth a lot of money, it depends on what's hyped. That's what sells. It's whatever's hyped up. So the right knife can make you a lot of money, and then like, some other knives that are more, let's say, less known about will probably make you a shorter return. But the Kershaw Tilt was originally, I think, like $150 or $200 knife way back in the day. And that, dude, if you can find one of those, they're close to like $1,500 or more now.
Yeah. So if you're talking about that sort of a price, Mike, then yes. So, but yeah, okay, here he follows up. Is a $1,000 knife twice as good as a $500 knife?
Okay, so he's talking quality.
I think a $1,000 knife is probably twice as good as the 500, just as a general rule. But I think once you go from 1,000 to 2,000, it's not necessarily double the price, double the value, if you will.
I think it depends on the maker.
I think that it depends on the maker, but
because
I think
your VC Edge, let's use an example. Your VC Edge, not that one, the one I have, $850.
Yes,
that's like $1,500 worth of knife to me.
Oh, I agree. And the next time he does a drop, I bet you, and we spent an hour plus, an hour and a half talking to him last time, and I've talked to him a lot in between. The prices will be more.
So you have to be opportunity. You have to be at the right opportunity to land the right thing at the right time. So there's a lot of that. Is a great question. I'm gonna say no. It's not twice as good for the price, but it could be better depending on who it is. So you got to do your homework and do your research.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I think much like watches,
It's
is
subjective.
a $10,000 watch twice as good as the $5,000 watch? I think a lot of it we're buying name. I think sometimes we're buying material in the knife world also. Like a Rolex demands that price because of the name, not necessarily because it's horologically more advanced than the
Refined.
Omega.
Yeah.
Like if you really took them apart and looked at them, the Omega probably is a better quality movement than the Rolex. I'm just going to say it. But the Rolex demands a higher price, and I'm not bagging on them for that. And it's the same with the knives. It's this certain maker demands a higher price than that maker.
Right.
And is the quality better when you get them side by side? It's hard to tell sometimes. It's hard to tell sometimes because of the material. As you pay more for a knife, so like I have this Frank Fisher Battle that's made by Frank Fisher, and then I've got the TJ Fisher, his brother's Cobra. Now they are a little bit different, but they both have a Sanmai blade, and you can tell there's some quality differences, and there's a drastic price difference. But part of it is because the materials cost more on this than this.
Right.
So a lot of it you're paying for material, not just the quality, if that makes sense. Hard to
Well, I think you're paying for the touch of the maker's hand right there, because between the two, one's doing like CNC and hand finishing. The other one's more by hand, right? So like you're getting like a different level between those two. But it's a vast price difference between the two as well, where like the off factor when you look at them both visually, maybe like the gap doesn't really show as much, right?
Right. And I think Happy Haptics really kind of nails it here. It's kind of like art. At a certain price point, the value becomes subjective. So
yes,
for me, it was worth every penny to buy this knife. And for a lot of people, they think I'm nuts to have a 5-figure knife in my collection. But to me, it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah. Well, and
it's very subjective, and it's what you are willing and want to do with your collection.
I like what Chris said actually too. It's really worth what you're willing to pay for it. Like Dirk may be into Picassos, and I may think a Picasso is absolutely horrendous. And I would never even pay $500 for one because I think they're that ugly. And then Dirk may pay like 10 grand to complete his set of Picassos for that final piece that connects the whole set. There's a lot of dynamics when it comes to collecting, and people do things sometimes strange, sometimes it depends, like, who the observer is, and of course it depends who the person collecting is on how you view that situation. It's just super subjective.
There's a knife price point for everybody, and there's a watch price point for everybody. And I try very hard, as does Alex. We don't look down on people for what they collect. I certainly don't. And I know there are a lot of knife people that do, and there's a lot of watch people that do. If you don't have a Rolex, then you're nothing to some watch people. And those aren't the people I hang around with and associate with, because the fact that you're into watches is cool. The fact that you're into knives is cool. So it doesn't matter if you've got a Casio World Timer and a Kershaw. That's cool. Let's come hang out.
Yep. I'm totally with that.
Kind of scrolling through some comments here. Will
Yeah, I
says
was reading some of them
once
too.
Tiffany gets into the knife world, game over.
See,
Yeah,
that's
let's not go there.
that's the knife world is this one place where those kind of names really, I don't think will be able to like some
Floriding.
like name brands will probably like flourish if they put it on a watch or like a set of shoes. Knives is different.
I don't
if
know.
anybody like it. Well,
The first VC Edge interface that I had, like somebody loaned me, Gary loaned me. It had like a teal blue, kind of not really Tiffany, but like a teal blue clip and anodizing. And my girlfriend was all over it. She wanted one. She couldn't figure out how to close it, but she was all gaga over it because it was her school colors, her sorority colors.
Right.
Okay. What does Heavy have to say? Got to pay a toll for good artful concept and intellectual property. That's the part most don't consider. Custom knife might take a month to make, but the idea could have taken years to develop.
True. Jason's a good example of probably of like something like that where he's got like so many man hours into his design. Now maybe he can make 40 knives in like 4 months or whatever, but like maybe the initial knife could have taken him a year and a half to develop. So that's a good point.
Yeah, like the Frank Fisher battle, and when I was talking to Frank about that, he's got 150 to 200 hours into this knife.
Yeah.
And in talking with Jim Skelton about his knives, of which this is one I didn't plan on buying in 2022, but I did. This fixed blade is anywhere from 8 to 40 hours for one knife, depending on the blade steel.
Yeah.
So this one's probably more in that 8 to 10 hour range, but yeah, it's not just the time that they spend building this specific one. It's how long it took them to get to the point where they can make one.
Yep. So
I'm glad that Will hangs out with me because I've got a Rolly. What else is in my collection? What?
No, where's the rest of the year going for you?
The rest of the year is going for me. I want to try to not buy anything. Don't know if that's going to happen. I have nothing. Well, there's two. So there's one watch that's going to get bought. There will be one watch that's bought as soon as my AD gets it in. It'll be an Omega, and then I am working on possibly a Rolex. I don't know when that might be, but whenever that call comes, I'm probably going to jump on a plane and go get it. It's not going to be an ultra deep, actually. I'm going to look at the ultra deeps, but I am most likely going to get a green SMP 300 with the green deployant strap and the clasp. So that will probably be the next watch that I buy. The ultra deeps are very cool, and I want to see one, but I don't know that I'm going to get an ultra deep. I have the deep black, which is the ceramic Planet Ocean in GMT. I don't know that I need an ultra deep. We'll see. And then a Rolex, maybe if I get the time, but if I get the call. And as far as knives, God, I don't want to buy any more knives. I want to sell some, but I want to. I don't want to buy any more knives. So stop. So all of you people out there, stop enticing me with knives. And Chris is laughing. I know Chris is laughing at me when I say I don't want to buy anything else. Although I have one over there I want to sell, and I might sell another one over there, and then I could add things in. But like, I wasn't really looking for this one. I wasn't looking for an RJ Martin. I was looking to sell a TJ Fisher is what I was doing. And then Mason, who's now a friend, said, "Hey, are you interested in any trades?" And so I said, maybe. What do you got? And so he sent me a video and pictures of that he had just picked up at Blade Show 2022 and said, I'll trade you that, but it'll cost me a little bit of cash. I was selling that other knife to kind of fund these watches that I haven't bought yet. So the RJ Martin did cost me a couple of bucks and a TJ Fisher, but I'm super happy with that. Getting used to it. It has a very strong detent that I was not used to. But it's starting to loosen up a little bit, and I'm getting used to it. So
very good.
Yeah, I know. Tennessee Mike, sell them all. I've thought about it. There's some watches I might sell. I do not. No, Will, I do not actually need a Kirby Lambert. I like nice. Kirby Lambert, and I've done some videos because I have a couple friends that have loaned some in, but I honestly don't know that I would go out and buy a Kirby Lambert. From the ones I've seen, nothing wrong with them at all. They don't do anything for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you on there. Like, I've always looked at them, but they look worth the money. They're very nicely finished. I actually met Kirby Lambert a couple times, but yeah, I just never had a inspiration to have one in my collection either for some reason. Just not for me, you know?
I need to stop looking at stuff too, Brandon. I know. I think I can do it. I think I bought like 8 this year already. And I knew about a couple of them at the beginning of the year, but I didn't know about all 8 of them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to still buy less than 11 so that I can stay true to my video at the beginning of it. Because I bought 11 last year, and I want to buy less than 11 this year. So I'm at 8. But if I sell some, then that works too.
Yeah, because then they wash.
Yes.
Exactly.
And what about you? What does it look like for you the rest of this year?
You know, I got a lot of stuff. I bought a lot of tools, parts, things like that. I got a lot going on this year. I don't think I'm going to be buying much more stuff. I know I got one custom Lodato that should be coming pretty soon. I think Landon's got like one more knife until mine. And that guy had been on the list for close to 3.5 years for that knife. So I'm kind of excited to finally get there.
Oh, yeah. There's a custom that we're kind of working on. So I'm hoping that might come this year, might not come till 2023. And then I am working with Ed over at Red Horse Knife Works for another custom Hellraiser. But I'm still waiting on
my that reminds me, I'm still waiting on my skeleton fixed blade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Professor, he wants to buy something. I have something. It's over there on the table. I'll send you a little video later, Professor. I can include it with the box of other stuff I got to send you. Just saying.
I did buy a lot of watches this year, but I haven't bought a whole lot of knives, man. I mean, I got the Magna Cut tactile turn knife, the Rockwell.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
That was cool.
I got my first tactile turn pen.
Yep, those are great.
From Blade. I had my buddy from Wild About Sporting Goods pick it up for me. Yeah. I actually love it. He gave me a little bit of a deal, and I think it's a very cool pen.
And you can fit the Pilot G2s in there. That's how I use them at work. They're pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pen. Great pen.
What does Happy Haptic say? There's some watches I might sell, Dirk said excitedly with a face of complete disillusion. I know there's not many watches. I have considered selling one of the Zeloses that I have, but I don't know. I'm not committed.
I actually have. I bought a pre-order on the Zelos. What do you call it? The Comet. I did buy one of those. I got the fat carbon version. So that was pretty cool.
Chris, very good question. I forgot I was going to mention that. Chris has a Deadlock Model C that he is looking to sell. Just if anybody is out there looking for a Deadlock, which is a OTF out the front automatic, double action. Fire it open, fire it closed. and there's 0 blade play on the Deadlock. It's the only out the front that I'm aware of that has 0 blade play.
That is correct.
It's
Actually,
a very cool knife.
there was one other one. I think it was the which is really from a long time ago. It was the shark something. There was one of those old school, but it used a different mechanism, but it claimed to be, you know, one of those no blade play OTFs.
Okay. Yeah, because typically, for those of you that don't know, and I don't have any OTFs here, I don't own any OTFs. I have a couple of side opening automatics, but no OTFs. But in general, just because of the mechanism and all that, it fires the blade out the front.
Right.
There is just a little bit of blade play. That is just, there's nothing wrong with that knife. It's just how it works until G&G came up with the Deadlock and figured out how to combat that and created the Deadlock out the front. It's pretty cool.
Right.
Oh, Chris says it's the sand shark that you.
The sand shark. That's the one.
No,
I knew it was shark something. Man, my memory like starts to. And if, dude, I'm still on the hunt for one of those. That's one of those knives I really wanted. So I actually brought out one.
Okay.
I'll see if I can make it come up on the. Just a little bit. This one's actually one of the tighter ones I've had.
Yeah, but, there's just a slight bit. I mean, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it and all that. But there is a slight bit of blade play with it out the front, other than the G&G Hawk Deadlock. And I've done videos on those before too, and kind of talked about their story and all of that good stuff.
Right. Great knives, man. Those are awesome. And the Model C is slightly more of a thinner, more refined handle than the old school B were. So,
yeah, and I think it's all carbon fiber as well.
Aluminum.
And aluminum, yeah. Professor EDC would love a G&G Mud. You don't want a Deadlock Model C? We can get you a Deadlock Model C.
I know. I've been after a Mud for years too. Those are great knives. That's the one with the sealed pivot. So there's absolutely no mud or dirt or anything that can get in that pivot. Completely sealed off like its own little unit. Is really cool what they did. They made manual ones. Then ZT, way back in the day, made a production one of them. And then you could get them later on automatic. Like the Advanced Knife Bro has one of those. Are pretty cool. I had the ability to buy the auto, but I didn't want it. I hung on. I'm still hanging on to buy one in a manual version. I almost bought the ZT version, but I'm like, I'm just going to hang on and see one day if I can get a manual old school Mud.
Okay. Yeah, those are kind of cool looking.
Yeah, those are all the auto ones. Very cool knife.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. What about you guys that are watching? What are you guys doing in your collections? Other than Professor wants a G&G Mud.
Yes. The Mud. That's a great knife.
I know Will has a couple of watches he's got to come and pick up in Napa at some point. They came in and I did see them and they are pretty cool. I saw one, but they both look the same. But they're pretty cool. They look pretty clean. And I'm not even a chrono guy. And I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I've been I think I'll definitely buy a few more watches this year. I bought this Boulder, which is what I'm wearing today, this little field medic thing. And I kind of want another Boulder. It's surprisingly good quality for being like a micro brand and stuff.
Yes.
I was really impressed, and the lume is very much like a Zelos. It's super bright. I think I might want another Boulder. Is kind of what I'm kind of looking around for. I know I want a third Zelos at some point. Not sure what. I'm just waiting till he does his releases. I think I'll add one more like super cool one. Maybe something Timascus at some point.
He does do some very super cool stuff. Will says he's going to have fire sale up pretty quick. So is that because you're just downsizing stuff, or are you saving for something? Boulder does a great job. Yes, I've done a couple of Boulder videos. I've been very pleased with their watches.
Yep.
They don't, the ones I've had have not really excited me where I wanted to buy them, but they're cool.
Yeah, if you like that style, they're wonderful. Like if it's your thing, then they're great. Like like I said, and I bought this thing. It's kind of small. It's cool because it's utilitarian, but the reason why like I want another one is because when I bought it, I'm like, oh, it's a lefty, right? Like it's got the crown on the correct side for me. It's a little
Oh
tall
yeah, yeah,
now, and it's the field medic. And since I have a nursing background, like
yeah.
it's a complication I understand. So I'm
Right,
like,
because it's
I'll
got
buy
that like
one.
pulsometer thing on there.
Yep, it's got pulse and it's got respirations.
Oh, very cool.
So you can kind of do them simultaneously instead of doing 2 rounds
Yeah.
of vitals. So I like the watch so much, but I didn't expect to wear it a lot because it's not. I don't know. It's a little thicker and this and that. I just bought it for the novelty of it, and then I ended up wearing it a lot.
That's
And,
cool.
yeah, I got kind of like I didn't expect to like it this much. In other words, I guess.
Very cool. Alice says she's not into watches, nor is her boyfriend. That's smart, but he's got a great collection of Demkos.
He does.
That's very cool. The guy that I bought the RJ Martin from has he got a couple of custom Demkos at Blade, and at some point he'll be sending me some to check out.
Nice. Yeah, I think one of the knives I think I'm gonna buy real soon is I saw Knife Sergeant post my buddy Nick's prototype
Oh
for
yeah, I saw
artesian
that.
cutlery.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna buy one of Nick Rogers's new knives from I guess Artesian Cutlery's making it. It looks pretty cool, and then I have the Ingress, so kind of like go with my Ingress, as my little second thing because I support Nick. Nick's a cool dude.
Yeah, Nick is cool. And yes, Alice, it's Mason is one of my new friends now that I've done a good deal with him in a trade and stuff like that. He's pretty cool. We chat and stuff. So Stacy is trying to get her space ready to do her first unpackaging video. Man, they're gonna let anybody do videos now. Had a few deliveries for over a week, and she hasn't opened them, and it's difficult. She does Mallory Designs and Artisan Cutlery. Yeah, it's tough. I work from home, and so when I do get a delivery, it's usually I can just open it within a few minutes, or I finish this meeting and then I just can do an opening. But yeah, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes I run out in the afternoon or something, and then I get a notification that they delivered it, and I'm gone for the rest of the afternoon. So yeah, I get it. It's kind of tough. I don't know that I would be able to just have boxes piling up back here, not open. I couldn't do that. That would be a problem for me.
Yep. Yeah, I got a lot of freaking. I can't wait to do some of those watch builds. Those are gonna be fun. But I just been so busy, I haven't been able to post much lately. So
well, we got to do family first and take care of life, and and then post and do stuff, right? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Plus, like
it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I undertook a bigger editing challenge than I expected. So, but yeah, I'll get it done at some point soon. I still need to ship that box back to Giro,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that video, and then I'm looking forward to your interface video, but I'm in no hurry. So take your time. I know I'm not going to get that knife back for a while because it's going to go from you to somebody else, and then it's going to kind of make its rounds a little bit with the custom one.
Right.
We're going to send this one also off to Jim.
I think I am going to spend a little bit of time. I mean, though knife review videos now, like with editing and stuff, have gotten a lot easier and faster for me. Like watches, I'm still, there's more to it. So there's more to talk about. And, in at least the way I want to do my reviews, I want to do them more complete, like, because the way I look at it, the reason why I make them that long and that precise and stuff and so much info is because that's all the information, or maybe it's just a small piece, but it's a kind of a good idea of what led me up to be interested in this product. So a little history is good to know, because then when you actually look at it with your critical eye, then now you can critique the watch appropriately if you know like the history behind it and what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to do, and so on and so forth. So where knife videos, you know, like I can get down dirty and get those done fast, but with the interface, I'm probably going to do some a little more detail.
Yep.
And since I have the opportunity to know and talk to Jason a little bit, I should be able to get some good info and some cool pictures and do like a real nice technical video on that thing.
I agree. That one's going to be good. So Happy Haptic says, I want to hit a couple of these comments here. He wants to mill a watch case out of fat carbon. I think that's an awesome idea. And
it's been
done. A few
years
back, I was thinking of trying to do, not with fat carbon. I had a different material that I was going to talk to a knife maker I was close to about doing something, and I just never did. But I think that's a very cool idea.
Dirk, pull up the Squally. Carbon fiber Squally.
They've got some cool stuff too. And then we'll hit Will's question while I look that up. I'll let you answer this. Most photogenic, Will Carey says, most photogenic watch, then what's the most photogenic knife? And I'll let you look at that while I look up the Squally.
So I found that some of the things that I thought was going to be most photogenic, if we're talking about taking pictures of something that looks good, like something that looks good on photo, shiny is always your enemy because of reflections. That's tough. You know, I like matte Damascus stuff for photos. I do like hollow grinds because you can really get like a nice, if you get the light right, you can take a nice shot of something like that. Like a Sebenza, I find very photogenic. Then you guys might find that surprising, but because it's a plain knife, but I think a Sebenza is a very photogenic knife. Watches, anything with anti-reflective coating is pretty good. But overall styling cues and things like that, I don't know. I really like the Zelos Swordfish. I think that's a nice watch for photos and stuff.
So here's the Squale with some carbon fiber, and they do it in a red, and it doesn't show that other window, but they do it in a blue also.
Yep.
Here's another one of the red. I think these are very cool, and I almost had an opportunity to buy one once, and I just did not, and I kind of regret that because I kind of want a carbon fiber watch.
Yeah, see, I'm like I've taken one out in and out of my cart like 6 times already. I really like the blue one. I like the red one. I have a lot more red stuff I can kind of match up with knives and clothes and stuff because I have a lot of blue, but it's kind of hard to say no to that blue though. It's like the right blue.
Yeah, I really like this. As far as most photogenic from my side, it's tough. It's hard to take pictures of watches. I did get a couple of good pictures of this Breitling Super Ocean today. I don't know if I posted a couple, I think. And knives, it's hard. Like this red and black carbon fiber on the RJ Martin kind of photographs pretty good. Yeah. My Rolex Air King is really hard to photograph. Some other knives I have, they look great, but they're hard to photo. It's kind of hit and miss, and you got to play with the lighting and the exposure for me to try to get it to look right.
Yeah, like my Scout actually has that same carbon fiber.
Yep.
See, I found the Scout to be pretty photogenic, but then like the Damascus on it is not, it's not Damas steel, so it's not shiny, you know?
Right.
Like, so it's easy to take pictures with it, even if there's like light on it, it doesn't glare. So we usually, I think like semi-matte to matte finishes are always the best.
Agreed.
For photos.
Yeah. Brandon Thrasher, yeah, he would like to see the interface. Keep in touch with me, Brandon. I have the full dress one here. Alex has number 79 that he's going to do a video on. When Alex is done, both of them are going to go to Jim Skelton. And then from Jim, then I'm not sure, but yes, we can try to get that to you.
There it is.
Yeah, don't cut yourself.
Whoop.
Yeah, I would like to get that around to some other people. Like, I like having the most videos of them out there, but I would like other people to see them.
Yeah.
Alice, yeah, hit me up. Let's talk. I actually have a 5,000 subscriber giveaway that I'm supposed to have done a couple hundred subscribers ago. So yes, let's talk about it and see what you could do or what you're willing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Let me see.
my subscriber count's been starting to slowly grow all of a sudden, like steadily. So when I hit 2,000 subs, I'm going to be doing a giveaway as well. I'm going to be giving this away. Nah.
I thought about doing something like that, doing something crazy. I mean, Chris says his salamander is hard to photo. Yeah, it was hard to video.
Yeah.
I took it outside and put it on my fence and got some natural light outside of pictures. And I thought they came out pretty good. But yeah, that thing is super, super shiny. Perfect, Alex. Yeah, just message me on Instagram. That's easiest. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's all about the lighting. And then you can play with the exposure on your camera. And I only learned that recently.
This is a perfect example. Like, this material takes great pictures.
Yes.
Like, very, very good pictures, because it's got like some, you can see how you can get the edge of the carbon fiber reflecting. You can get a lot of like, what do you call it? Depth or whatnot. A lot of separation between the colors. So at the right angle, if you angle it right, you can get some really nice photos and show off all the layers and a little bit of glare, but not too much. It's cool.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. Even with number 80, the full dress one, even though it's got the Damasteel blade, most of the blade is carbon fiber, so you can angle it just right with the picture and get really good pictures of that with the Timascus and all that. So these are pretty photogenic, and it just blows people's mind with the blade and all of that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I can't be happier with those two knives. I like, yeah.
Goodbye.
I should just stop buying at this point. Happy Haptics, do you have an El Primero to sell for some shekel? No, I did not have a El Primero.
I'm in a mood to bring out some knives. Bring out some knives.
Bring them out. What do you got?
I don't know.
I keep threatening myself to set up a second camera here to do like a knife camera, but I haven't really sorted that out yet.
I haven't pulled this one out in a while, but
Professor, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Professor, have a good one, man. I always like your analytical video.
What is your bladeosophy topic if you haven't already signed off? Or can we get a preview? Can you tell us what it is? Maybe.
Yeah, those videos are fun.
Yeah, if you guys aren't watching Professor EDC, you should. He does a great job, and he really makes you think in his bladeosophy videos.
Yes, he really does. He gets really deep in there. They're pretty interesting subjects.
Oh yes, what's that called again?
It's not a provoke, everybody.
Yeah, no, it's not the provoke. No, it's the original custom.
It's the Caswell. Goodness gracious, I'm having a brain fart right now.
Yeah, me too.
The Morphine Karambit.
That's it.
So this one's not in aluminum. It's in titanium, and it's also in CPM 3V. It's got this crazy expensive nitride coating of some sort. Like, he went through three different people on the coatings, which set the knife back for a really long time. It's got this really cool pocket clip. I know it's not really like, you have to like really like kind of hit it at the right spot, but when you get used to it, it actually does work okay. I think the only thing is like, how do you close this thing one-handed is always been the challenge for a lot of people. Because the release tab or the unlock tab is right in here. And so like, usually like if I have it, you know, like how you're supposed to hold it, you just kind of spin it up. And then when you have it like this, I usually use my thumb to just kind of disengage it and then wiggle it down. So It's a lot of work for a knife, but I always thought it was kind of cool just because of the folding mechanism. You know, like this is somebody who spent a lot of time to make something kind of cool and unique. So
I
kind of
agree.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you're like into mechanical things or whatever, the mechanism is like every knife has a mechanism inside, right? But with that knife, you get to see it all.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
on it's on the outside, if you will. So you can see how it moves, and it's very interesting and satisfying to kind of fiddle with, if you will, because you can see it all working. I thought it was very cool.
And this guy is the same maker or manufacturer that made that guy that I just sent to you.
Yep.
So it's also by Millet. And I
Yep.
like these guys because their machining is just so interesting. I mean, this thing's got blue to purple color anodizing, and then bam, you just got it like a full Timascus show side. And
Yeah.
what's also interesting is if you look even deeper into the milling, you can actually see the milled out channel for the stop pin on the blade right in the back in this pocket right here. So it's almost like you can see inside the guts and mechanics of the knife. So I always thought that was really super, super cool. Great manufacturer. I wish we'd see more from Millet, you know, being a U.S. manufacturer and such.
I agree.
But apparently their timelines suck, you know?
Agreed. But I do like that one. That one is a cool one.
Yeah, that was a great one. I very satisfied with that purchase. I was wanting one of those for a few years, you know, just to have. So what do you think, Dirk? Anything else to add to today's podcast?
No, I think I've rambled long enough for everybody, and I will do my best not to buy too many more knives this year.
Yes.
Couple,
yeah.
But we'll keep you posted. You'll see them on my channel. So.
And we got the link if you guys are interested in the morphine karambit, this thing, or want to know more about it. You know, that's a great link for it. I like Caswell knives. There's another knife that he makes that is one that's really sought after, and one that I want is the EDC. And it's cool because if I remember right, when you deploy the knife, the pocket clip recedes, and then as you close the knife, the pocket clip pushes out. It's really cool. He's done all kinds of very intricate stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff in the industry, so it's very fun to get to learn stuff.
Yeah, and Caswell actually used to do the same thing Jason from VC Edge used to do.
Oh, with the blades?
No, for a living. The
the aerospace stuff. Yeah.
So, well, that's all I got. How about you?
Nope, I think I'm good. We'll let you guys go. Thanks for hanging on with us. So greatly appreciate it.
And don't forget to stop by next week, guys, because we're gonna have Levon and
2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's right, 2 weeks. So we're gonna have Levon from Knife Nuts podcast on. I think I'm gonna drink heavy that day. I think it's gonna be appropriate to get wild and crazy up in here.
So that's gonna be Sunday, July 10th.
That's right, July 10th.
We might start doing them more often. We'll see.
Yep. We're working on that.
I think that would be better for you guys watching, maybe. But for us, sometimes it's better just, you know, every other week. I don't know. We'll see. We may throw some in on a random Thursday night or something too. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So just keep subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when the latest and greatest comes out of our podcast.
Perfect. And in the description is a link to my main channel and Alex's main channel too, if you're not already watching us there.
And my Instagram. So we'll see you guys all on the next one.
Thanks, guys.